hygiene, we'll address all the questions in the last. Feel free to use the chat box so that your questions can flow in the middle of the session also. Today we will be covering why data cloud. We'll especially chat about the free data cloud credits, which which was a big announcement in Salesforce. Salesforce's big event of Dreamforce 2023. We will talk about the data cloud capabilities, a technical overview, and end the session with the demos. So that's the basic agenda for today. Quickly introducing myself, I'm the founder and CEO of Areya Technologies. Started the company in 2020, and as of now, we are 70 employees. We are looking to expand in this year, and that's where we are starting this webinar series once again. And you will see more of it in the coming months. I will let Prashant also introduce himself. He's a co-speaker today.
Hello everyone, my name is Prashant Salian. I work as a senior Salesforce developer in Areya Technologies. I joined the company 1 year later in the year 2021. From then on, it has been an enriched learning experience for me, and I hope I'll be able to share my knowledge with you guys, and you can have any questions that you want that I will be able to answer.
Awesome. Thank you, Prashant. And Prashant is amazing. Please go and connect with him on LinkedIn. He'll be happy to share his knowledge with you guys. And connect with me also on LinkedIn if possible. Okay, so Salesforce Data Cloud. Why data? There has been a tremendous amount of data in today's world, especially now in 2024. I mean, we have been shouting about data is a new oil forever now. We have identity data, purchase data. So let me tell you a story. I was on Amazon.com a couple of days ago searching for baby milk products. Okay. Now, taking that, Amazon started giving me recommendations of baby diapers, baby products, and stuff like that, which we all know they run a recommendation engine, which is amazing, right? But slowly and gradually, I also realized that that data was also shared with other providers like YouTube. I started getting ads of baby products on YouTube, on Google, on any search I'm doing. So obviously, there's a lot of data I'm generating, and people are like companies are creating a persona of myself saying that, okay, this person is interested in baby products at this particular moment. Let's go and attack and sell this products to them. And of course, I as an individual is getting influenced by looking at something new and happy to, buy the product. So that's a classic case of a recommendation engine selling to a targeted audience. And that's B2C. Now, Salesforce generally is a B2B application wherein, there are challenges like, hey, cost is a problem, time is a problem. I can't spend this much budget, which Amazon has on building something like this. So, every company will be speaking about AI, about, unifying data, creating personas, automating for increased productivity and stuff like that. So that's where, business is asking. Now, if we have to build a ground up data cloud, let's say, which will solve all of this problem, we have a lot of data. There are multiple systems. The integration will take a lot of time. There will be cost, security compliance. We'll have to hire a team, which, companies like Amazon did. So they have implemented now something like this in-house. Every company can't do that. And that's where, to automate this process or to make this a smoother process, Salesforce introduced Data Cloud. Now, what are the goals? which Data Cloud is solving. We need to get a personalized experience, which is faster. Just imagine a use case where uh, you know I talked about the targeted thing. If we implement Sales Cloud and Salesforce, the expectation would be, hey, can you unify my leads and personalize them so that I'm sure they'll buy it? Just like me going on any website and getting ads which are personalized to me, something like that can we implement that for B2B companies. That's the expectation. So we have to work on integration, connectivity to apps. Of course, scalability and extensibility will be expected. Now that's where, Data Cloud plays a very important role. It connects to all of your systems. It harmonizes the data and then empowers team to create intelligent automated experience throughout the platform. Uh, you know, uh, So let's take another example as a use case. What if we have a consolidated view of the Service Cloud implementation? A person calls, we are able to look at the engagement feed, what they are working with us, how they are working with us. That feed will help us predict, saying that, okay, this is a good customer, a VIP customer, has some issues. How can we help this customer better? And just so that you know, Data Cloud is called Data Cloud from 2023. Before that, it was called CDP. After CDP, I think they called it Genie, and then they shifted the name again to Salesforce Data Cloud. So it's the same technology, of course, an enhanced version. Terminology changes, but Salesforce Data Cloud it is as of now. We don't know next year what they'll call, but Salesforce Data Cloud looks like a good name. Now, let's talk about the big announcement which was made in in Dreamforce 2023, that you are eligible for a free data cloud license or credits, to be very precise. Everybody was saying, hey, you get 10K profiles, you can unify 10K profiles and stuff like that. We will demystify that myth here. We'll just chat about what you need to have to start using or consuming that free licenses or free credits. You need to be either an enterprise or an unlimited customer. Unlimited plus gets a little bit extra benefit or extra credits, but enterprise and unlimited get this all benefits. So most important is 250,000 data service credits. Now, how do we use this credits? So let me quickly show this URL. Now, Salesforce data credits is used for this particular functionality. These many credits are being used. Now, while implementing, and we'll get into the details of technical how to implement and stuff like that. But 250,000 credits might sound like very high number of credits, but it's not. What you can really do from that is implement a narrow use case, saying that, okay, can we unify the leads and target, for a targeted sale? You have to be very cautious when you run a batch profile for unification because it consumes 100,000 credits. So you only have 250,000 credits. So you have to be smart about how you spend that free credits. And that's where, we'll talk about some of the technical details. Now, as I mentioned, it lets you ingest, unify, and visualize customer data for one targeted use case. Of course, you can do multiple use cases also, but just beware of what credits are there. The Salesforce Data Cloud Starter Pack or the free one does not include the segmentation and activation credits. It does not, okay? Now, this credits are for 1 year. If you're a customer or if you are a customer, you have a 3-year contract with Salesforce, then it will be every year 250,000, which is If it is a 3-year contract, it will be 750,000 credits. So that's how it works. And with Salesforce Data Cloud Starter Pack, you get what, million credits, I think. So it's it's a good idea if you or your customers are planning to go for data cloud implementation. Suggest them use the starter, but they'll not be able to see much response out of the free one. So stick to the starter if you want to really see the power of data cloud. Now, getting to the technical, I'll let Prashant lead this, how data cloud works, and he'll talk about this particular slide in much more details along with the demo.
All right. Thank you, Dipesh. Let me quickly share my screen. Give me 1 second. I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Thank you. So Dipesh spoke about the data cloud being an integral part of businesses from now onwards due to the sheer size of the data that is getting accumulated from so long. Now, unification, deduplication, and everything of this kind of a data from various different sources really requires a huge architecture that Salesforce has already set up, and we are just kind of using that application layer of it. The works behind it are quite complex, but they have achieved it, and we are going to build on that itself. Um, Talking about data cloud itself, how it is built on the application front. What happens is you have multiple different sources or siloed data sources present everywhere. All of them, kind of have the similar kind of data maybe, or different kind of data related to certain individual. Let's talk about health watch maybe. So health watch is related to, or integrated or embedded into Google's Health Cloud, Apple's Health Cloud, and certain other sources. Fitbit has its own ecosystem. Now this Fitbit company, let's assume, has its own ecosystem, but it also has connections to Google and Apple. From a managerial perspective or a data unification perspective, they would want data from all of these different sources. What essentially what you can do is you can install an ETL tool itself, paying loads of money and pushing out uh, loads of resources into it, and still have certain blockages into the incoming data itself. But Salesforce, how it has done it is, in the data cloud organization itself, or the structure itself, they have enabled us multiple connectors, inbuilt connectors, which can connect directly to these sources. And if at all you don't have a connector or an inbuilt connector, which I'm going to showcase in the demo itself, if you don't have an inbuilt connector, there is always an option to connect with MuleSoft, which can have multiple connectors to all of these. I'll say not so commercial databases or data sources. So that is the first part. That is your data sources. The next part is your connect. Now connect, what it means is, as I mentioned, there are multiple connectors. Data cloud can either pull data from one end, or it can also allow different sources to push data through a process called as ingestion API. Now, ingestion API, again, we will be talking about it in the demo itself. But your pull part is what will be creating a data stream. This data stream is just a pathway for data to come in, which will be stored inside something called as a data lake object. And that is where we are going for harmonize. Your data lake object, you have multiple, maybe let's assume 150 fields or attributes coming for each and every record, but you don't really need so many. So what you'll be doing is you'll be creating a data model, only mapping the fields that you really need for your business or for your client's business, and only pull those many records whichever have you can set up a filter so that only those many records come which match a certain criteria. Now, moving on, let's assume we go back to the same example of Fitbit. An individual, his heart rate is being monitored every minute or so, and it is being sent to the Fitbit's ecosystem. their steps, the number of steps and the number of calories burned correspondingly are stored in Apple's Health Cloud and in Google's Health Cloud. But at the end of the day, it is the same person who is emitting the same kind or different kind of data. What you'll be doing is you'll be unifying all of these different sources, mapping them against certain ID. Now, again, from an integration perspective, I hope or I would definitely say that everyone knows about how integration works. You just try to map certain elements to certain other elements to create a join sort of, and that is what is happening in this unify part. It can, so data cloud can inbuilt create your unification, your unified portfolios for individuals to map what are they exactly doing, so that you can track their engagement and target them better in the future. Now, coming to the next part, I mentioned that you can target them and give them better insights or better advertisements in the future. That is where your AI comes in, or the analyze and predict part comes in. You have your CRM analytics tool, which can kind of report on these things. You have your marketing studio, which can be triggered based on certain data that you, or certain insights that you have calculated within the data cloud itself. And based on these, the trigger part comes into the action part. You can create something called as a data action, and data action targets, which are basically which org or which external system you want this to you want this data action to be performed on. So there is something called as platform event, which I'll be talking about later, which hits the other org, and the other org can act upon it. So data cloud is not just ingestion. The best part is that you can also have interactions or actions present to other orgs, which kind of makes data cloud an end-to-end tool in terms of transferring data, loading data, or extracting data from other different systems. With that being said, I will jump on to the demo. So starting when you actually, so there are multiple different ways in which you can request for a data cloud hub. You can have a data cloud hub without any data, but with the functionality. You can have a data cloud requested with the data with the functionality built in. It is up to you. We can share the link at the end of the all the links for at the end of this seminar or webinar, and post it on our LinkedIn post as well if it is needed for someone. Jumping on the first screen when you get the access to your data cloud org is this screen. Instead of these check boxes, you will, or check marks, you will be having a button or a toggle stating that enable data cloud. That is so the starter kit or this playground, well, what it will do is it will create all the right permissions for you so that you can play around with this data cloud org itself. Once it is done, you will be seeing the same kind of screen where you will be having all of these check marks, and then you will also have your tenant specific endpoint. This tenant specific endpoint, what it means is, from an integration perspective, if there are admins developers over here, so they will be understanding that for any integration to be set up, there is always an endpoint that you need to hit. Now, data cloud has, even though it resides within Salesforce, there is always a layer separate from the Salesforce, because data cloud doesn't really work within the Salesforce ecosystem. Your data is worked upon in some Amazon web server, which they have hosted or Salesforce owns, and there all the operations take place. And that is where you will be having your tenant specific endpoint. Now, this particular endpoint will hit the actual data cloud instance that is running in the Amazon web services and not the Salesforce org. That being said, we will go for the homepage of data cloud. So when you come over here, it is a simple enough search for data cloud in the app manager itself. When you come over here, the first thing that you see is the home page. You'll be seeing how many data streams are active. We'll be talking about data streams, what they are, and then how many segments are there and how many activations are there. Uh, Coming to the data stream object, what it means is, as I had explained earlier, this is just a pathway for your different connectors to kind of push data, or data cloud itself to pull data from. We have, if you see over here, we have something called as a Salesforce CRM connector. We have something called as an ingestion API. We are also pulling in data from a file stored in Amazon S3. For those who don't know Amazon S3, it is just a simple storage service. where just like a Google Drive or anything like that, which kind of stores files for you. We have pulled in a CSV over here anytime, and you can schedule these pull tasks so that anytime the file itself is updated, you can either upsert the data inside your records, inside these data model records, or you can just go ahead and kind of refresh the entire object that you have. Uh, so before we jump onto data streams, if I click on new over here, you will see I have something called as a Salesforce CRM ingestion API, and then I have other sources, Amazon S3, and Data Cloud also provides you a service where you can extract. Let's assume you have built a Data Cloud instance in some org, but you want the same kind of structure in your new org. So you can export the entire configuration, the entire metadata of Data Cloud from over there, and then you can just install it over here, which makes it a little more easier for you to transition from your sandboxes to your production nodes in terms of Data Cloud. For any niche databases which can't really connect directly to the Data Cloud org, Data Cloud leverages MuleSoft for these inbuilt connectors. I know, or I believe Salesforce is already working on making these as standard connectors as well, so that your dependency on MuleSoft or buying MuleSoft itself is reduced by a lot. But for the moment, since Data Cloud is fairly new, it was kind of released last year itself. Uh, so there are uh, multiple different connectors which are related to MuleSoft, which you can leverage. So for now, what I'll be doing is I'll be selecting Salesforce CRM just for the ease of the demo itself. You will have three different org setup. Now, where are these orgs coming? The self is the same org that is presenting the Data Cloud. Analytics demo org is one that I have already built in. If you can see, there is a tab opened over here. And then there is Areya Technologies, which is again one more instance of Salesforce. Um, Now, where are these Salesforce orgs coming from? We'll go back to Data Cloud. We will come back over here and we will be typing Data Cloud, no, Salesforce CRM over here. I'll be opening Salesforce CRM, and here you will be able to see how many connectors I have for the Salesforce org instance itself. You can click new over here, and you can choose to connect one org, or you can choose to connect a sandbox org itself. And by just one click of a button and trying to log in to a different org from over here, you are able to connect to different Salesforce orgs without the need of any complex process like coding in, or creating a flow itself. Nothing like that. Data Cloud will easily let you set up the connector from where Data Cloud can pull the data. As long as Data Cloud has access to the objects and fields in the other org, it is very simple to just pull in data from over there. Now, since it takes a little bit of time for it to configure the data stream itself, I'll be skipping and I'll be just showcasing what data streams I have prepared right now. So for now, I have one org where I'm pulling the account, contact, and lead data. I have one more org where I'm pulling case data. I have something called as an ingestion API, which is basically an external system trying to push data in a standard REST API integration fashion. Just for an example, the ingestion API that I was talking about comes from over here. I create the data from this JSON. Now it is a simple REST API integration, nothing fancy over here. All you have to do is just get the access token and then follow the process to just create data into the ingestion API. So here you will be able to see that I have already inserted 35 records. And then there is something called as S3 individuals. Now this is a test data that I have kind of inserted into a CSV file and uploaded into Amazon S3, connected it into the Data Cloud data stream, and immediately, since there were 30 records over here, 30 records have been created over here. Now when I say created, these are not actually created inside your Salesforce org, so data storage is not an actual issue. These are just views of your records that are present. And one USP that Salesforce boasts about is this thing itself, that even though it is kind of acting upon this data, or even though it is able to put an AI version or AI experience into the data itself that is collected over here, there is no actual data stored over here, or there is no copies of data stored anywhere else. This is just a view on a live basis. Whatever is present over here will be shown over here as well, as long as the records have been processed. Um, this what this means is, if you are working for a client, the client need not worry, or you don't need not worry about any storage limitations or anything like that. As long as you are okay with the records itself, it is all good. Now, that being said, these are the data streams. Out of every data stream, what will be created is a data lake record. If you see, the names of the data stream and the data lake is the same. Data lake is just a pool of the data that you're getting, the raw format of the data that you're getting from the data streams. And if you open up, you will be able to see that there are 1005 records for account itself, and then there are 1652 cases that I have pulled in. Coming to the data model, when you create a data stream, you create a data lake record. The next step is to map the fields themselves, and that is where we were talking about harmonize. Whatever fields you really want, you would just select those fields. Let's assume I open up contact over here, or account over here, sorry. I can click on edit. You will see whichever field I want, I can either remove the mapping, or if I need, I can map it to the incoming data. If I want, I can create a custom object, custom data model object itself, or I can use a standard one. But if I really don't want one particular field to be mapped, it is of no use to me from the external system, then I'll be just dropping it. And that is where your data model object or data mapping comes into. Now, going to Data Explorer. Now, this wouldn't be this particular page itself, or this particular tab itself wouldn't really help in for the business executive, but for an admin or a developer who is working on Data Cloud, implementing Data Cloud, this is a very crucial piece, because here they will be able to see what is the exact view of the data that has been created from the data model records. So for now, I have selected analytics demo org, which I was talking about. That it is present over here. If so, whatever cases were there, I am just going to view it now from a layman's perspective, from a business executive perspective. This one doesn't really make sense. They need insights out of it, and that is where we'll go to identity resolution. Uh, Going back to the slide itself, just showcasing where exactly we are from a map perspective. So we are at the unify level right now. Coming to my identity resolution, if you see, I have something called as a first rule set present over here. I can create match rules based on, let's assume you have multiple different data sources sending or being pulled for multiple different rows of data. Maybe let's take my example. My email address is prashant.salian@areya.tech, but in some other application or some other instance, I have saved my username or email itself as prashant.salin +1 @areya.tech. uh, what this one will do is, essentially these are the same people, but from a system perspective, since older systems are not very smart about it, they'll be treating these two individuals as two different people, or these two records as two different people themselves. But from Data Cloud's identity resolution, it is essentially an advanced or a glorified version of a data deduplication. You can match their names if they have similar names, and if they have got a normalized email. Let's assume the +1 and my regular email. If they are matching somehow, then Data Cloud, what it will do is it will create only one unified profile for that person, and all the data regarding the person from both the systems will be presented in one row itself. And we don't really have to take care of that. Data Cloud does it on an AI or machine learning basis. Then comes something called as reconciliation rules. Now, as an admin, again, you would want what particular field puts more weight, gets more weightage in the rule itself, or what particular type of object within this entire ecosystem gets more weightage when different sources of data or sources of data send their records to us. So in here, if I select, let's say, the first name of an individual is very important to me. So what I'll be doing is I'll just select first name and I'll be editing the reconciliation rule so that this particular field will get more weightage when the entire reconciliation or the deduplication rules itself is going on. Now here you would be seeing that I have total 123 out of 123 source profiles. I know this doesn't seem right, but that is because my data was so clear. There was no duplicate in it. But essentially, it will, there will always be, let's assume, if there are 100 million records over here, there can be multiple duplicates, and it will most probably be, less than that. Now, if you really don't have any difference over here, that means something might be wrong with the data, because now you're not pulling uh, individuals based on their emails or whatever it is. You are just pushing in data, but there is no real linkage in it. So that is there. And you will be seeing there are multiple warnings that it gives. Reconciliation rule, if there is anything wrong with it, or if there are data mappings that are going on, I mean the data model records that are going on in the background, if those are there, it will give the warnings. You can clear those off and kind of run the rule set again. I'll be running the rule set again. So I think it already ran, and that is why it is not letting me. But again, from the processing history, you will be able to see how many records were uh, put into one group or something like that, and what was a run date of it, and every other detail. Moving to Profile Explorer. Now, Profile Explorer is just like your Data Explorer, but Profile Explorer is more in terms of, if you want to select the unified individuals that identity resolution itself has created, then you will be able to see those records over here. Currently, I don't have any attributes specified. That is, I'll not be able to see this. I think Abhik has sent this. Dipesh, if we can go through that.
Sure, yeah. Why don't you continue your thing? We'll address the question in the last.
Sure. Now, coming to the second last part of the or second last part of the data cloud workage itself, you have the analyze and predict. Now, just pulling in data from multiple different sources and just storing it in one location, that doesn't really make any sense. You are just again pulling in data from multiple sources and just dumping it into one place, but not really utilizing it. Then you're not really using data cloud right. What you'll be doing next is, once the data itself has been come up, you can go to calculated insights, and you can quite literally group or aggregate all of these different sources or all of these different records coming in from various different sources, and provide a valuable insight out of it. So just for an example, I had shown the object called as analytics demo k underscore case. Now those cases are being pulled from the analytics demo, but I wanted a small enough insight saying that I just want the number of cases grouped by their origin. I know from a business perspective, this is a very small example, but calculated insights can, in fact, work on millions and millions of records. And that too, whenever you have scheduled it, let's say every 5 minutes, which is called as a streaming insight. And then if you're scheduling it for every 12 hours, which is called a calculated insight itself, a bulk calculated insight. Both of those approaches can be taken. In fact, even if you have tens of thousands of records coming in every minute or so, calculated insights can run as a streaming insight, and then it can provide the right amount of data at any given point of time. So while you're looking at different records, data cloud is actually running in the background and refreshing your new record. Just for an example, if there is an airport which is using Salesforce CRM, and they have got data cloud enabled, what they can do is any flight, they can literally manage their entire fleet itself, telling them which flight departed at what time, which flight has come into the airport at what time. All of those real-time data can be calculated within these calculated insights. Just for an example, you will see that there is a schedule present over here. It will say not scheduled every 6 hours, and then there is something called as streaming. Now this is the calculated insight which is running every 5 minutes. I have set up the duration for 5 minutes, and that is when it is running, or every 15 minutes. Sorry, every 15 minutes it will be running. So if you see, if I open this one, there is a last runtime, and if I go to expression, oh, sorry, not this. I'll go to Data Explorer. I'll go to Calculated Insight. Calculate sum of BPM. So in here, it is currently not showing the data, but in here you will have when the calculated insight ran, when it started, when it ended, and what is the aggregate that I have taken. So currently I have in the calculated or in the heart rate streaming data stream that I had, custom heart rate data. I am providing the beats per minute for every individual that is present in the API. So if you see over here, here is the BPM. So this one, I have just taken a small insight and asked to kind of take an average or sum of what is the total BPM throughout the day. And then you can put some arithmetic expression over here divided by the number of minutes in a day, and then get what is the average BPM that you're getting, based on which you can then target the customer. Let's assume for a good 15 minutes or a good 10 minutes, if the heart rate of the individual has increased by a lot, and if it is not daytime when they usually work out, it might mean that something is wrong with the person. So if at all you are a healthcare professional, for that matter, you get this insight saying that this person's heart rate has gone up by a lot for the past 10 minutes. Salesforce in the backend has, or the Data Cloud in the backend has rules set up. If it is running more than 10 minutes, then shoot out an emailer or shoot out an emergency call to different people that they have associated with, so that they can look into it, they can call them, they can ask them how they are. So all of these different running insights you can get through calculated insights. Coming to the last bit of it, that is action. Oh, before action, there is one more thing in analyze. You also have something called as Einstein Studio. Now, Einstein Studio, so earlier it was something like Einstein has got its own binary classification model that is present, which will basically give you predictions based on how well your entire data itself is going to perform against a standard rule. So for this one, what I've done is, based on certain fields in the case object that I have pulled into the data stream from the analytics demo org, I kind of predict what is the probability of it getting escalated, so that I can take preventive measures from a business perspective. I can take preventive measures even before someone has the time to even escalate this. If I get an insight saying that this particular case is going to be escalated, I'll be putting more resources into it, trying to close it off as quickly as possible. Now, with that said, Einstein Studio has recently been updated. Earlier, you were only able to select models which are outside of Salesforce, probably just the AWS SageMaker. Now, SageMaker is just a platform where you can train and deploy models, ML models. But from now onwards, Salesforce has deployed this Einstein Studio, where you can create a model out of scratch for the data stream object or data model objects that you have created. And you can also connect machine learning models. If you have your own business running, your own technical team with their own machine learning models, those can be deployed over here. And Einstein Studio can just pass in the parameters and take in the inferences as seamless as that. Nothing, no rocket science over there. And that is there, just showing a small part of it. I'm going to the analytics org and showcasing how your model itself works once it is created. It will be similar to this. It will have certain insights, how it was trained, how well it performed against the data that you have provided, and everything else. But in here, I have already trained a model. What I'll be doing is I'll just this is the preview of it, like what will be the prediction that Einstein will provide you based on the values that you have provided. So in here I have only selected these many fields. What I'll be doing is I'll select, let's assume, please focus on the top prediction factors. If I select phone over here, you would see automatically the score of this particular case that I have, or the case values that I have provided. Einstein predicts that this case will not be escalated for a good amount of time. So in here, it also gives you what are the top prediction factors, what are the top negative factors. So let's assume I go back to case origin, I go back to chat. If you see, it says chat. If the chat origin is chat, if the case origin is chat and the status is working, it is a negative factor for us. That means any cases that were created in chat are probably going to be escalated very soon. So if you get insights like this from a business's perspective, it 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 kind of increases the efficiency of the service agent or the manager level itself to by a lot, by an extent that is that was not possible earlier. If you scroll down, you will also see what is the predicted escalated by a small enough example of what exactly was happening over here. But this particular card will essentially showcase what is the entire summary of this graph itself, or the text that has been presented over here. Now this I have shown in the analytics org, which has analytics studio built in, but the same or the or a similar kind of inference you will be getting over here as well. So if I showcase this, the predicted escalated, if I come over here and type in analytics studio, if I open up new lens over here, which I had created earlier, you'll be seeing what is the average, or what is the average escalation probabilities for each kind of a record that is present. So based on the origin itself, we see that. And if you have noticed earlier, when I selected the origin as chat, that is when the escalation factor went up by a lot, and that is what is being shown over here. So if it is chat, it goes up by a lot, the escalation probability, it goes up by 79%. If it is email, it is the least, where it is a 72%, but it is still a very high number. So this particular example, if you think about it in a business perspective, it is telling you what is wrong with each and every origin and why there are issues with it. So if there are multiple different teams working on it, you can probably go ahead and kind of target them, or explain to them what is going wrong and why things are going awry over here. That being said, I know I took a lot of time on that, but coming to the data action part, where we go, we actually get to see the USP of Data Cloud. That is, you're not just ingesting data, much like other reporting tools. You're not just ingesting data. You're actually working on them. You're actually creating data into other orgs or other instances or other external systems. You're sending notifications to them. So in here, I have something called as send BPM. If it is greater than 50, then send a notification. For this, I have created a data action. I have created a generic platform event data action target. What it will do is, whenever there is, if you go over here back, yeah. So whenever there is a custom heart rate data record that is getting created from the ingestion API, if the BPM value is greater than 50, this is a this is the same use case that I was talking about. If your BPM value is greater than a certain threshold value that you have set up for a quite a long duration of time, that means something is wrong with the person. So that is why you will be sending out notifications to other orgs, telling them what exactly has happened. And if at all you take a different, more lively example, maybe the person ran 10,000 steps, or walked 10,000 steps, give them a loyalty bonus or something. And that is what our use case entirely for the demo as well is. So you give them a loyalty point saying that 20 points credited to your account just because you ran 10K steps or something like that. All of these different real-time actions you can take and send out to different external systems. Now, That is how your data cloud itself works. Coming to the small demo part, I am keeping the demo very short, very small, so that it is fairly easy to explain. Data cloud essentially works with 20 different data streams, having complex calculations working in the background. So let's not go into that. Let's just take a small example, saying that in the analytics org, let's assume there is a person called as Matt Evans. Now, Matt Evans has been part of this customer group for this particular company in the analytics demo, saying that they are mechanical manufacturers. They build out components and everything else, pipelines and everything. Now, Matt Evans, he comes, he kind of buys something. Now he has issues with it. I'll be cloning this record. I'll be taking mechanical as the type and case reason as equipment complexity. What I have done is in the data cloud org, if there is something with requested for VIP support, there is a loyalty management that is running in my previous org, and I'll be diving into it. You will see there is a loyalty management running over here. There is a redemption value of 200 points from the user's bucket or user's wallet whenever they request for a VIP support case. Now, all of these fields don't matter. I have what I've done is in the data cloud org, whichever contacts reside, they are associated with their contact loyalty ID, which is the same over here. So the background is whenever a contact is created over here in the analytics demo, they'll always have a loyalty ID which is corresponding to the data cloud's contact record itself. So it is very easy to kind of relate them back without much complexities. Now, whenever they request for VIP support, there is a 500 points deduction that happens from the other end. So what I'll be doing is I'll be saving this, and I'll be coming to my data stream. Now, since this is a batch process, this coming of data and the action itself to take place will take a little bit of time. That is why I will just showcase what happens usually. In here, you will have your total number of records, whichever are present or whichever were pulled throughout the lifetime of this data stream, and what was the last number of records that was processed. So if I go over here, what I'll be doing is I'll be refreshing it now, which will check what is the last run status. If it is success, then it will go back to pending. Once it is pending, once this kind of processes, it will go back to pending, and it will start pulling data from the other org again. Now, when it finds that there is a case that was created in this analytics org with the requested for VIP support again, it will hit the data cloud org, and data cloud org has a data action present over here. If you see, one second, yeah, data action present over here called as case creation. Whenever this happens, there is a flow in data cloud org that runs this particular flow. And again, I will not take much of your time by showing the flow itself, but that flow essentially what it does is it picks out the loyalty ID from that particular case, whichever was created in this instance, which was pulled into this instance. And if that loyalty ID matches with any contact record in the data cloud instance, in this loyalty management data cloud instance, if it matches with any contact, it will find out who is the loyalty program member associated to that contact. And if it finds one, what it will do is it will create a redemption transaction journal, which basically means that the loyalty management process that Salesforce, and again, loyalty management is something different than data cloud. It is not part of it. But we do consultant work on the loyalty management as well. But again, uh, coming to your journal type, that is redemption, your journal subtype redeem, when this one gets created in the data cloud through a flow which is triggered by the incoming data. Just because the checkbox was checked on the other instance, there is a value that is getting created over here. And what it does is the transaction amount is set to 500. That is a default value that I have set in the but more complex business use case or scenarios take up more kind of data, more number of calculations and everything else. Now, what this will do is it will process the loyalty management will process this particular transaction. It will go back to we will go back to the program member, and you will see in here there was 30,000 balance in the previous version, but now they only have 29,500 points remaining. And the same way, if they do 10K steps, you can add in an approval or an addition to these points. So, so that you can target these people better. You can give them their own pointers in different web applications or mobile applications that they are using. You can notify them that they have received so many points, which kind of work in the business's favor, because now the customer is more hooked on to the things whatever they are doing. They feel rewarded because of these real time insights that they're getting, or real time actions that they're getting. Just because you have ran 10K steps, that is why you're getting points. That means it is a good thing. Most of the people will like it. And that is why these kind of implementations are very crucial to the Salesforce ecosystem, or from a business perspective as well. These values are very crucial, because these provide you real-time insights and real-time activities on the data that you have. Yes, that was about it from my end, from the demo perspective itself. I'll hand it back to Dipish, and we can go forward with the other stuff.
Awesome, Prashant. I'm sure everybody, understood the data cloud implementation, at least on the high level, what it entails and how a business can see the insights from a small use case as well. Now, as we are approaching towards the end of it, I just wanted to voice out that, we as a consulting company do uh, implementations on data cloud, of course, any Salesforce implementations as well. And I just wanted to give an audience the sense of, if you are getting something saying that you have to estimate out how a data cloud project has to be estimated. So this is where how we estimate, so that you get a sense as well. So, break down and what's the use case, rather than saying, hey, yeah, we can do everything in a data cloud. If you have custom use cases, break that down and just say, okay, this all will be needed for that, and categorize or bucket the implementations into either small, medium, and large. Now, the weeks are approximate weeks here, where we say, okay, this much is a time which will be taken. Now, I've seen implementations which are done in 4 weeks also, but trust me, data cloud will take a lot of time, because understanding of data is very crucial to get to the use case result. So don't uh, don't commit saying that, hey, I'll implement data cloud in 4 weeks. That's what I will highly recommend. Now, that actually brings us to the end of the webinar. Prashant, do you want to take up the questions? I answered one Avik's question here, but let's
Yes.
take the second one.
Yeah. Avik, was the same org. I had requested for a loyalty management trial org, which basically consists of your data cloud, your analytics studio, and your loyalty management itself. Now, from a demo's perspective, it made more sense to put all of these into one org and showcase it, just having connections built from other orgs. But from a business use case, you will never have one single org having all kind of data. um, your data will be scattered everywhere here and there. But from the use cases perspective, it was the same.
Correct. But from the earlier question, Avik, I think data cloud can be installed in one org, but it can be connected through multiple sources. I'm sure you understand. But the existing governor limits don't interfere with data cloud governor limits, or whatever limits data cloud has. If we go back on the presentation, uh, you know, th so with with the free data cloud license, you get this much. With data cloud starter, you will get a little bit more, but this is what you get. So storage is different, data cloud admin is different. So everything is, separate for data cloud.
Thanks, Dipesh.
Okay, So this brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you everybody for joining. Our next one is top 5 features of Einstein for you, which will happen on 23rd of Feb. So keep a lookout for the link of that. Thank you everyone for joining. And Prashant, great demo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
Prashant.